Bacteriology is a branch of microbiology that deals with the study of bacteria. It involves the study of the structure, function, and behavior of bacteria, as well as their interactions with other living organisms and the environment. Bacteria are unicellular microorganisms that are found in almost every habitat on Earth, including soil, water, air, and the bodies of plants and animals. Gram-positive cocci are a group of spherical-shaped bacteria that are commonly found in a variety of environments, including on the skin, in the respiratory tract, and in the gastrointestinal tract. These bacteria are called gram-positive because they have a thick layer of peptidoglycan in their cell walls that stains purple when subjected to a gram stain, a laboratory technique used to differentiate bacterial species based on the structure of their cell walls. Staphylococci can be identified through laboratory tests, such as gram staining and culturing. Treatment for staph infections typically involves antibiotics, although the choice of antibiotic may depend on the specific strain of bacteria and its sensitivity to different drugs. The slide agglutination test is a laboratory technique used to identify bacterial species based on their ability to agglutinate or clump together in the presence of specific antibodies. This test is commonly used to identify bacterial infections and to determine the effectiveness of vaccines. Staphylococcus aureus S. aureus is a gram-positive bacteria that is commonly found on the skin and in the nasal passages of humans and animals. While S. aureus is typically a commensal organism that does not cause harm, it can also cause a wide range of infections, from minor skin infections to life-threatening conditions such as sepsis and endocarditis. S. aureus is particularly concerning due to the emergence of antibiotic-resistant strains, such as methicillin-resistant S. aureus M or SA, which can be difficult to treat and can cause severe infections. MRSA is commonly associated with hospital-acquired infections, but community-acquired MRSA infections are also becoming more common. The D test is a laboratory test used to detect inducible clindamycin resistance in Staphylococcus aureus, including methicillin-resistant S. aureus M or SA. Clindamycin is an antibiotic that is often used to treat MRSA infections, but some strains of MRSA may be resistant to clindamycin, which can make treatment more difficult. MRSA infections can occur in people who have weakened immune systems or in individuals who have undergone surgery or invasive medical procedures. MRSA can cause a range of infections, including skin infections, pneumonia, and bloodstream infections. MRSA infections are often difficult to treat because the bacteria have become resistant to many antibiotics. Coagulase-negative Staphylococci cons are a group of bacteria that are closely related to Staphylococcus aureus but do not produce the coagulase enzyme. Unlike S. aureus, cons are typically considered to be commensal bacteria and are part of the normal human skin microbiota. Cons are often found on the skin, mucous membranes, and in the gastrointestinal tract of healthy individuals. Streptococcus can be classified based on its hemolytic properties, which refers to the ability of the bacteria to break down red blood cells. The three main hemolytic groups are alpha hemolytic, beta hemolytic, and gamma hemolytic streptococci. One of the most well-known species of Streptococcus is Streptococcus pyogenes, also known as group of Streptococcus gas. Gas is a common cause of pharyngitis, strep throat, skin infections, and invasive infections such as necrotizing fasciitis and toxic shock syndrome. Another species, Streptococcus pneumonia, is a leading cause of pneumonia and meningitis. Beta hemolytic streptococci are further classified based on the presence of specific cell wall antigens, including Lancefield antigens. These antigens are used to distinguish between different groups of beta hemolytic streptococci, with group A being the most important clinically. Streptococcus is a genus of gram-positive bacteria that includes many species that can cause a variety of infections in humans. Streptococcal infections can range from mild, such as strep throat or impetigo, to severe, such as necrotizing fasciitis, toxic shock syndrome, and sepsis. Gas is a leading cause of pharyngitis, strep throat, skin infections, and invasive infections such as necrotizing fasciitis and toxic shock syndrome. Another species, Streptococcus pneumonia, is a leading cause of pneumonia and meningitis. Streptococcus is a genus of gram-positive bacteria that includes many species that can cause a variety of infections in humans. Streptococcal infections can range from mild, such as strep throat or impetigo, to severe, such as necrotizing fasciitis, toxic shock syndrome, and sepsis. Streptococcus agalactiae, also known as Group B Streptococcus GBS, is a type of bacteria that is commonly found in the human digestive and genital tracts. While GBS can be a normal part of the microbiota for some people, it can also cause infections in certain populations, including pregnant women, newborns, and adults with weakened immune systems. GBS is an important cause of neonatal sepsis and meningitis, and pregnant women are often screened for GBS colonization during pregnancy to help prevent transmission to their newborns. GBS can also cause infections in non-pregnant adults, including urinary tract infections, skin and soft tissue infections, and bacteremia. Diagnosis of GBS infections involves laboratory tests, such as culturing the bacteria from a sample of infected tissue or body fluid. Enterococcus is a genus of gram-positive bacteria that is commonly found in the human gastrointestinal tract. While enterococci can be a normal part of the microbiota for some people, they can also cause infections in certain populations, particularly in individuals with weakened immune systems, or those who have recently undergone medical procedures such as surgery or catheterization. Enterococcal infections can range from mild, such as urinary tract infections, to severe, such as endocarditis, sepsis, and meningitis. Enterococcus faecalis and Enterococcus faecium are the most common species associated with human infections. Alpha-hemolytic streptococci are a group of bacteria that are able to break down red blood cells partially, resulting in a greenish discoloration of the blood agar. This group includes several species of streptococci that can be found in the human microbiota, including Streptococcus pneumonia, Streptococcus mitis, Streptococcus oralis, and Streptococcus mutans. While many alpha-hemolytic streptococci are commensal, some can cause infections in certain populations, particularly in individuals with weakened immune systems, or those with pre-existing medical conditions. Streptococcus pneumonia, for example, is a leading cause of pneumonia, meningitis, and sepsis. Gram-negative cocci are a group of bacteria that have a spherical shape and a cell wall that is characterized by a thin layer of peptidoglycan, surrounded by an outer membrane. This outer membrane contains lipopolysaccharides LPS and porins, which serve as a barrier to protect the bacteria from host defenses and antibiotics. The most well-known genus of gram-negative cocci is Neisseria, which includes species such as Neisseria meningitidis and Neisseria gonorrhea. These bacteria are important human pathogens that can cause a range of infections, including meningitis, sepsis, and sexually transmitted infections. Diagnosis of gram-negative cocci infections typically involves laboratory tests such as culturing the bacteria from a sample of infected tissue or body fluid. Neisseria meningitidis is a gram-negative bacterium that is a leading cause of bacterial meningitis, a serious infection of the menings, the membranes that surround the brain and spinal cord, as well as sepsis, a potentially life-threatening infection of the bloodstream. Neisseria gonorrhea is a gram-negative bacterium that is the causative agent of the sexually transmitted infection gonorrhea. Gonorrhea is a common bacterial infection that affects both men and women and can be transmitted through unprotected sexual contact with an infected individual. Complications of gonorrhea can include infertility, pelvic inflammatory disease, and an increased risk of HIV transmission. In addition, gonorrhea has developed resistance to many antibiotics, making it more difficult to treat. Moraxella catarrhalis is a gram-negative bacterium that is a common cause of respiratory tract infections, particularly in children and older adults. It is a part of the normal respiratory flora in healthy individuals, but can cause disease when the immune system is compromised or in individuals with underlying respiratory conditions. Gram-positive rods are a type of bacteria that are identified by their shape, which is long and thin, with a positive result on the Gram stain test, indicating that their cell wall is composed primarily of peptidoglycan. Corynebacterium. These are non-spore-forming bacteria that are commonly found on the skin and in the respiratory and gastrointestinal tracts of humans. Some species of Corynebacterium, such as C. diphtheriae, can cause serious infections. Bacillus. These are aerobic, spore-forming bacteria that are commonly found in soil and water. Some species of bacillus, such as B. anthracis, can cause serious infections in humans. Gram-negative bacilli are a diverse group of bacteria that are characterized by their rod-like shape and the presence of a double cell membrane, which makes them more resistant to certain antibiotics and disinfectants. There are many different types of gram-negative bacilli, some of which are harmless commensal bacteria in the human gut, while others can cause serious infections.